And then Facebook's a totally different thing, or does it all at once? Nice. We're just hanging out, doing our thing. For this onset, I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're going to sit in a circle. Everybody will introduce themselves, tell us about their feelings. You guys weren't ready for that. You're getting ambushed. What makes you want to be a photographer? We're good? All right, cool. We're live. Hey guys, we're live. Hey-ho. So, welcome to OnSet. I am Daniel Norton. Dave's over here on the Mighty Mix. No Seth today. Seth is off doing some kind of fancy party. So, if you can imagine it, Seth is in a tuxedo. You know, he's wearing a white t-shirt. All right, so, as I said, I'm Daniel Norton. If you guys don't know, we stream here many Thursdays. Won't be every Thursday now because I'm also doing a lot of streaming on my own channel. So if you guys don't follow me, look on YouTube for me, Daniel Norton. You'll find me there, where it's just like this, except in my studio. And better. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is awesome. So thanks for coming. For the people here at local in New York, we also stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on Adorama's Facebook. So be sure to subscribe to both of those two things so you guys can see. There's a lot of good content besides me. Probably better than me, right? He's nodding. He's like, yeah, for sure, Ben. All right, so today we're going to talk about photographing men and women. I have two models. We spare no expenses here at Adorama for you guys. It's one of those things, right? I get a lot of like the same questions, right? Never during the middle of the demo when everybody could learn from it, but rather in private messages and later on. Hey, Daniel, you know, whatever. So one thing I get a lot is, do people of different skin tone, which I got to figure out how we could possibly do that because that's will be an interesting one to maybe cover. But men and women, because I say almost every single time, when I'm shooting women, I do it like this. I say this all the time, and people are probably like, Daniel, why do you do women, you know, shoot women in this certain way or light men in a certain way? So we're going to kind of show. Now, the fact of the matter is, you may love the lighting that I say is appropriate for men on your female subjects, and that's fine, right? Don't feel like I'm saying that you have to do it. One thing that you want to do in photography is learn from whoever who you can learn from that's actually got some knowledge, and then make it your own, right? Decide what you want to do, but knowing why people make certain decisions will help you shape how you light things, right? So that's why we're going to break it down very specifically today to do this. What I'm going to do, I think, because you never know what I'm going to do, really. It gets a little crazy. We're going to start with Justin. We have Justin here, and Autumn, which I will remember because that is one of the seasons. Although people usually say fall now.
Do they?
Yeah, they don't go so autumn anymore.
It's type of person.
Yeah, it's much classier to say autumn. So this is Autumn and Justin, who you guys have seen many times. Justin is an amazing actor and all-around good jaw. We like that. And Autumn is, I don't know, you're an actress as well. Also an actor. So there you go. So you guys will get to see these guys photographed. I'm going to start, I believe, with Justin, and I'm going to light him kind of more dramatically. Probably 80% of these, if you guys come to a lot of them, we photograph a lot of women because that's mostly what I photograph. But so you'll see a little bit something different. I'm going to light Justin first in a way that I would light a typical male shot. And then we're going to drop her in and see what it looks like, right? And then we'll change it and we'll drop him in. We'll just keep going back and forth. If you have questions, please ask. I will try to say everything I'm using as I go equipment-wise. If I don't, you can ask. Note that, okay, I'll answer this question right now because you're going to see that I have this Pro Photo light that's $1,995. Can you do it with a cheaper light? Yes, right? We're learning technique here. So there's reasons to have expensive gear versus non-expensive gear, and I actually do a video about that. I think there's a video on regular Adorama TV about that. You guys can check it out where I talk a bit about that. Don't feel like you can't shoot if you can't afford the most expensive gear. Use what you can to do the best job, but there are reasons to have better gear and, you know, whatever. I am using, speaking of better gear, I have the Hasselblad X1D again. Hasselblad was kind enough to loan it to me in a scheme to get me to buy it, which I believe is working. And we're going to shoot with that. So if you guys don't know, Hasselblad has been around for a long time. They make medium format cameras, which means the sensor is very large. Large sensor, 16-bit. Yeah, it's nice. Anyways, and not that expensive anymore. So it's also mirrorless. So we're going to put Justin, I think maybe just for the fact of keeping everything consistent, I might have you guys sit. Oh, thank you. Oh, no, you weren't even, I thought you were giving it to me.
No,
see that? I misjudged you. I misjudged her immediately. No, it's okay. You can have that seat.
Thank you, Autumn.
Autumn is very kind. All right. So put Justin here. Have a seat, young man. I feel like a dentist. And so when we're photographing a man, right, or we're shooting in a masculine way, right, what we want to do, really always, but specifically in this case, we want to show off what is strong, right? Typically a feature that is considered attractive in a man is strength, right? So we want to do that via showing, kind of chiseling out the face, using shadow to do that. Now you could use a lot of different sources. I think the last time I did this, I used like really small lights on the guy and a really big light for the woman. Today I'm going to use the same light sources because I feel like why not? I'm going to use the softbox. This is a classic 2 foot by 3 foot softbox. If you're going to buy one modifier to shoot portraits, this is what you should have, right? It's really super simple. This is the Pro Photo one. It's 2 by 3, like I said, OCF as they call it. This light, by the way, is also $1,995. Are all Pro Photo lights the same price, or do they just stick the thing on there? This is a B1X, which is their battery-powered light. This one still has the label on it and everything. It's nice. So I'm going to basically take this light, and I'm going to put it, now I want to cause shadow across his face, right? So wherever there's light, on the opposite side of that, there's shadow, right? That's basically what it is. So whenever somebody says, how do I get rid of the shadows? Well, usually the answer is move the light, right? Because it's always going to be the opposite. So we want to cast shadow across his face, right? I want to highlight certain things. I want to show his jawline. I want to show the shape of his face. I'm going to put the light slightly above him. I'm going to put it to one side, right? This is kind of classic. I'm going to put the light as close as possible. This is pretty standard for portrait. You want your light to be soft generally. Soft light has kind of nicer, gentler transitions across the shadow area. So even though we want shadow, it's still portrait. We still want it to be kind of nice. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put it relatively close. I'm going to put it to the side. My camera is here, so I'll put it kind of right next to my camera as best as possible. Let's see. Let me look through this thing. I pressed a button. I don't know what it did, so we'll see. Let's see. So there he is. I'm going to shoot horizontally today because that's how the tripod's set up. Oh yeah, we'll do a black frame. Thanks, Dave. Good thing Dave's here. Yeah, Dave. Even when Dave, even when Dave's not here, Dave's here. So yeah. So one thing that's important, right, when you're using flash, and one of the reasons why we use flash is control, right? Here we are. We're in Adorama, right? You guys, well, you guys are in Adorama, but you guys at home aren't in Adorama, I don't think. So we have these movie lights set up here, right? Dave took a long time with Seth, and they set these up to make them real beautiful, to make me look nice. So I could probably just shoot with these lights and be like, hey, photography is easy. But the reality is most of the time you're going to be in some junky lighting somewhere, right? You're in some conference room photographing a CEO or their office maybe. You're, in your basement trying to, get started in portrait photography, shooting some stuff for your portfolio. You're wherever. You don't have good, attractive light to use. So what we're going to do is get rid of the light in here, assuming we're going to pretend like we don't like the light. Now, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set my camera at such a way that none of the light in the space affects my shot. There's a few different ways that we can do this, or to figure out where to do it, but basically two things will always be the case. You want to set your camera at its maximum synchronization speed with flash, which in the case of most cameras is around 200, 250. This one happens to sync all the way up to 2000, so I'm just going to go 250 because that's pretty reasonable for you guys. Also, why go to 2000 if you don't need to? It seems a little excessive. And ISO 100. You want to go lowest ISO your camera goes to in its normal range. That'll give you the best quality images, and it'll give you a fast shutter. Now, what do I set my aperture at? You need to set your aperture at a place where you're a couple stops underexposed, right? You want to get it dark. So we can use the meter in the camera and look at the little plus minus and move it up and down until it shows us we're dark. We could use a handheld light meter like I have here to do that. If you don't want to and you just feel like taking pictures, because you can just start taking shots. I think I'll use the meter in the camera to start with because that's how I want to do it. It's got a little plus minus on it. I'm just going to roll this over. This is showing it to be at 5.6. It's showing it to be pretty underexposed. 5.6, 250, 100. If I didn't, I could also take this handheld light meter. I could meter it and hope to get like around f2-ish. Let's try that. So 100 ISO. Also, if I'm going too fast on certain things, let me know. This part's I'd cover every time, so I'm going a little fast. I'm set the meter to read ambient light in the space. It's at 250, 100. I'm going to point it towards the camera. I do a reading. It says EU. That's European Union. Okay, that means it can't even make a reading. It's like so underexposed, there's no reading. So I'm going to say that whatever I set the camera at, it'll be decent. So I'll take a picture. This is an important one. Make sure you get a good expression. So this has like 1,000 focus spots, which is kind of interesting because I'm used to just having one. Here we go. And black frame, right? Now, this is our starting point always. This means that none of the light in the space is affecting our shot. Whenever you're shooting, and you want control of your space, this should be your first shot, right? There you go, black frame. Even though I know that it was going to be fine, I still did it, and I always still do it, right? Now, we did that. If you want to be extra, extra careful, I'm in Focus, by the way, which is Hasselblad's tethering software. You often see me use Capture One if you watch a lot of these or come to a lot of these. Hasselblad has their own software, which Capture One does not work with because they're in competition. I'm going to grab my EV slider, which is kind of like if you were in Photoshop and you wanted to boost the exposure because you messed up or whatever. I'm just going to pull it over until I see a picture, if I do it all. Yeah, I can barely see him at 2 stops. So yeah, he's totally underexposed. Now, why am I underexposing him so much? Because in post, I know, I said post, I know some people get all mad. In post, I might want to recover some shadow detail. I mean, right? I might look at it later and go, you know what? Yeah, I got a little hardcore with my shadows, I want to bring a little detail back. If I start bringing back shadow detail, and all this effect in the room is in my shot, I'm going to start picking up weird color from it and stuff. So I don't necessarily want that. So I want to make sure I'm at least a couple stops under to give me some room to play. Now we got our base down. By the way, if you're making a portrait of somebody and you don't know how much time you have, generally speaking, like I'll set my camera at like 250, 100 ISO, like f8, before I even walk in the place and just like take a shot, like just, you know, without even setting up my camera, just to be sure. That's usually pretty good in most interiors, unless it's windows or something. Plus f8 and be there. No, okay. So I've got my meter set up. I'm now switching to flash mode. So what this does is when I press my little button, it's waiting for a flash. It's waiting to exhale. Right, that was a movie. All right, good. See. I should do, you know how like podcasts do that little thing where they give you all the links to all the weird stuff that they mention? We should do that for OnSet, because I've mentioned a lot of weird things.
You can hire Seth to do that.
Yeah, that could be Seth's job. I think we just volunteered Seth to do it. All right, so I'm using the Pro Photo system, which has their own built-in remote, which is called Air. This one is what I call the generic one, because the non-TTL. So I'm just going to fire the flash, right? So here we go. I'm going to put the flash meter in front of Justin. I'm going to point it at the light source, which is kind of, oh, look, f8. You know what? Let's shoot at f8. Now, normally, I know I'm going off script here. Normally, I already said I was going to shoot at 5.6, so I would just adjust the light. But hey, f8 is more than 5.6, right? So it can't hurt me to shoot at f8. Plus, this camera has really shallow depth of field, so I'm going to shoot at f8. I feel like that's fate. All right, so f8, we got the flash. Let me make sure it's firing. It is. All right, so this is our basic shot. If you want to see what it's going to look like, you can use what's called the modeling light, right? This is only used for models, right? So we can use this to aim the light. So Justin's looking at me. I can move the light around and be like, oh, yeah. It's important as a photographer, right? You have all your assistants set everything up, and then when you walk into the set, you go, okay, perfect. This is key. So that move right there, you saw that. That was good. All right, so now, that's the front light, right? If I do this, right, it's going to cast light on him. A little might get back there, but basically we're going to be in a dark room. But I don't want to have all dark on one side of his face, right? I want him to pop and have some dimensionality. So I'm going to have a second light here. I'm going to put a light from the back. This light is going to be like a kicker light. It's going to throw some light onto his cheek. I'm going to use a smaller light source, the beauty dish, because it makes people beautiful, right? And it has a grid on it, which is, the grid narrows the spread of light, so I have some control. I'm going to use this coming from the back. I'm actually going to cheat it a little bit and get it onto his opposite cheek to create a little texture there. So that's my plan. So I'm going to come in here like this. And again, I can turn this guy on. This also has a modeling light. It also made a beepy sound for some reason. Oh, good. All right, so model is on max. Perfect. So if you could face towards the camera, please, good sir. I'm going to move this guy in. And I'm going to basically aim it so that, this is, by the way, ProPhoto D2. So the D2 is actually a plug-in style light, not battery like the other one. And I'm going to kind of, I can see it's hitting his nose a little bit, so I'm going to come back like that. That looks pretty decent, I think. Let me look from over here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Turn my models. There we go. Magic, right? I'm using the model light so you guys can kind of see. Now, I'm guessing that light is in my shot. Indeed it is. And you know what? I don't care. I kind of like it. I'm going to leave it there. The beauty dish is in the shot, yeah. It wouldn't be in the shot probably if I was vertical, but I already said I was shooting horizontal, so let's see what we got. This is a test shot. All right, so there we go. All right, so I didn't meter this one, right? Why? Because I figured I was going to move it because it was in the shot, but actually I kind of like it in the shot. And the metering is not bad. Okay, so now we've got light from one side. Like I said, it's a soft light, right? We've got a little bit of light coming from over here. I'm going to shoot vertical so that light is not in the shot because it's a little bit distracting. If you're at home doing this as like a drinking game, every time I say I'm going to do something and then I change my mind, you should take a drink. All right, so let's use that later. I'm going to go vertical, which we never do. It's crazy.
What?
I know, nobody goes vertical anymore. We used to always go vertical when I was a kid. All right. Alrighty, so yeah, there we go. Now we're vertical. Let me go over here. Still in the shot a bit, but I don't care. All right, so now it's not distracting. You guys can see the shot better. For some reason, it went a little dark on me. Apparently, something doesn't like me today. Why did it go dark? What happens if you're on a shoot and this happens? You go, oh my God, what happened? I changed the aperture, yeah. With my nose, by the way, because it's touchscreen. I know. I do this. This is not uncommon for me. Yeah, I have my father's nose. All right, so I want to move this. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, we went back to where we were, F8. All right, here we go. So that's perfect. Okay, so all right, now we're not messing around. Now we've got the shot, right? We've got this kind of good shadow. We can see that. Now this is important. You can see that Justin's got really good jawline, and I'm showcasing it two ways. One, by lighting this side of him, right? That's the obvious way, right? The other way is I'm using the shadow to throw shape, right? But this right here is also cutting him out. If it wasn't for that light, then it would just be a blob over there. So I'm using it to kind of shape his face. I feel like that looks pretty good, but I kind of want my backlight to be a little bit brighter because I like an overexposed backlight, and it's my show, so I can do what I want. This is in my B group, so I'm just going to turn it up a smidge, just a tiny bit. Okay, good. All right, here we go. Nice. All right, good. So it's up a smidge. This has kind of got a lot of shadow going on. It's in focus. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's his eyeballs. There's your eyeball, right? Now, I like this, right? I think it's really simple. This could be a good, simple shot. You could light the background and stuff if you want it to look different. It's basically dark gray because I'm not lighting it, really. The only light that's hitting it is some spill from the softbox. But I think overall, it's pretty decent for a guy, right? Nice guy lighting, simple, right? Let's switch Justin out for Autumn. And let's see the difference, right? Let's see if we like this. Now, if it's perfect, I'm just going to go home, which is good for me because I'm almost done with the coffee. So Autumn's here. I mean, actually, spring is here. You knew I was going to do it. Finally. She was waiting for that the whole time. All right. So let's just not change anything. And let's see what the shadowy looks like on Autumn. Good. Oop. That was a weird composition, but I don't care. Okay.
I should have asked this question before we switched out to Autumn. But is there a difference between formal and informal? I'm guessing if you want a corporate look.
Sure. Yeah, formal versus informal. Yeah, I mean, okay, that's a decent question. Sure. I mean, of course, if you're making a informal portrait, is there a different way I'd light it? Well, sure, you would light it less dramatically, for sure. We'll get into less dramatically as we go. But yeah, I mean, typically informal, although it'd take more effort to make it look that way, so it'd be more formal in the actual shoot, is going to give them more room to move, right? So that's your difference, right? So if I'm shooting this very shadowy and I make Justin laugh because I have like a feather and I tickle him or something, and he looks this way away from the light, he's going to be totally in shadow, right? Which is not going to be very useful for me. So yeah, just for the matter of that, you might light it a little bit more open. Yeah, that's a good point.
Might count as informal, or
I would say that this is probably more formal. Okay, so this is pretty decent actually, even on her. But why? Well, she's beautiful. I mean, come on. But also, you know, she's got a relatively strong jawline, whatever. But even still, this is not typically, if you're making a portrait of a female, you don't typically want so much shadow. You also have nice eyes. You guys have both two sets of nice eyes here. All right, so you'll notice too, though, that I did not get hair light on the front of her face. Could you actually flop your hair so it goes on the other side? Is that like, am I breaking some rules by doing that?
No.
Yeah. So we typically don't want that backlight on her face with the woman. Let me just show you what it would look like. This is going to look bad. Get ready for it. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay. Right, so I'm focusing. Good. All right. So now, this is basically, I mean, we have to fix her hair too, but now we can see this is more exacting to the light. These two. Right? We can see here that like getting that on her face, you see what that shows? On him, right? Yeah, we see detail on his face. That's not considered typically a bad thing on a guy, to have that little detail and that roughness, he's got some beard going on over there or something. You don't want to show that on a woman's face typically, right? So I don't want this hard light from the back, this highlight hitting her. Luckily, she's got the hair, so she, you know, she knew. She was like, oh God, I put my hair over here, you know, I'm good to go. But yeah, so that actually took care of it. So that's a solution, right? So let's say you like this light and I want to get this, you could do that. If she had shorter hair, or let's say it was pulled back or something, you would be stuck with this, right? Which is not really what you want for a kind of a feminine look, right? That make sense? A couple things we could do. So I'm going to actually work with this for a second to kind of womanize it. I don't think that's the right word.
Womanize it.
I don't think that's probably not the right word. But womanize it? No. Okay.
Feminize it?
Yeah. Well, we will not womanize the lighting. All right. So, yeah, we're gonna soften it up a little bit for the ladies. We're gonna soften it up for the ladies. All right. So, all right. One thing I can do. Let's say, for instance, right? I said shadow is not working for us, right? So we could eliminate some of the shadow on the shadow side by bringing in some kind of a reflector, right? Like this. I got it. I'm all kinds of good. No, I'm not. This is like terrible. All right, here we go. By the way, you should use a stand for this. But I'm gonna.
You want me to hold that for you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, no,
Thank you,
it's not
Justin.
in my itinerary.
I know. This is why we bring Justin back all the time. Okay. All right, so I'm changing my focus spot now, like I should be doing, instead of focusing and recomposing. All right, so you're pretty good at that, Justin.
Thanks. Take direction well.
Indeed. Okay, so maybe bring it a little closer.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, perfecto. All right, so now we've got a little fill going on. Little fill. That sounds like a gangster, right? And now we've softened it up a little bit, right? So we can see the difference. So let's say we have to use this light, at least we have a way to soften it up, right? So we can do that. So let's say we only want one setup and we're gonna crank through it. I still feel like the highlight on her face is too much. Well, that I can handle a lot of different ways. One would be to add some diffusion to the light, which will help bring down the highlight, but I could probably just lower the power, because remember, I overexposed it a bit because I wanted that feel. So I can just lower the power on the backlight. That's B. Seven, why not? You're saying, Daniel, why 7? Why not 7 is what I always say. No, because I brought it up 4 on him, so I wanted to go a little lower. There we go. All right, it's getting better, right? Still a bit hot. Let's. All right, I turned it off. I just want to see for a second. Now the better solution, of course, is just to put her hair there. Yeah, I just turned it down a little more. Let's just put your hair on that side.
On what side?
Over here to block that light now. Yep, like you originally had it. Your hair would look beautiful on that side. That's how we do it. There we go. Well, now we've eliminated I mean, she has a little bit on her cheek. We're not going to get too picky, but now we've eliminated, right, most of the harshness. She does a little bit there. And we have a nice glow on her hair. The light across her face is relatively soft, right? So if you're shooting, right, this is definitely softens the light up. Let's go from there. Actually, let's get one without any light on your face because, hey, you know what? Let's get a perfect one. Good, good, good. That is fantastico. Focusing, good. All right, that should be good. Oh, you know what we didn't get?
Oh, I didn't know.
No, yeah, that's all right. No, you're good.
You have to direct.
It's my fault. You did say you took good
I'll
direction.
speak for myself.
Yep, bring your face this way, right there. Good, good, good. Here we go. Oops. There we go. Now, we've got this here. Oop. And let's see if we can show back here, right? How do I get that to go there? Oh, it's there already. Okay, so, right, the one on the right is basically the way I set it up for the guy, right? The one on the left, yeah, the one on the left is basically softened up for more of a female portrait, right? So I'm using the same light, more or less. I'm just tweaking it to make it work for the female, right? You see how that works? And the reasons are I want to minimize the shadow, and I want to keep any of that like harsh highlight off the face because that's bringing out texture, right? It's covering and it's also bringing out texture. We don't want either one of those two things generally in a more female type portrait. Make sense? Cool. All right. Wow, that worked out pretty well. All right, good. So thank you. You can take a break. All right, so let's say that instead I'm going to set up a shot for her, right? And I'm not trying to take that light that was already there for the men and be like, well, it's just a woman, I'm just going to do it. You know, let's make a light for the woman, right? That's what we want. So I'm going to use the same light, but I'm going to just change my philosophy or my placement of it, right? I don't want this harsh shadow on the side of her face, but wherever there's not light, there's shadow, right? So I got to put a shadow somewhere. Typically, for a woman, because you want to maybe narrow the face and make it look, bring the cheekbones out and stuff, we want to put the light in the center of the shot. So right in front of your camera, you don't need a camera. No, we're just going to put it above the lens, right? So I have a C-stand here. If you don't have a C-stand, just get it as close as possible. I even have a sandbag. Every time I pick up a sandbag, I think about when I used to live in Miami, and we would carry sandbags to the beach. It was such a weird thing, but you know.
Wait, why?
Why, she asks? Because you're not allowed to like scoop sand up on the beach because it's protected land. So you can't use the sand that's there. You got to bring your own sandbags.
And you weren't allowed to leave that sand.
Yeah, and you couldn't leave the sand either. So you couldn't like dump it out when you were done. You had to, yeah, you had to lug them out and then back. So yeah. But and at that point, I was trying to work on an infomercial for the photo assistance workout because I was in really good shape back then. I might hit you in the face with the light, but don't worry, there's a softbox on it, and the softbox is soft. Exactly. So we're good. Now, everybody's asking probably right now. I probably am going to hit you in the face with this. Everybody's actually. Can you step out for a second? Because I probably am going to hit you. And while it would be funny, we probably shouldn't do it. What if you used an octagon or blah blah? Right, we're getting those questions probably. It would change the lighting pattern slightly, but I'm going to use the same light source just to kind of show you guys, you know, a direct comparison. But if you use an octagon, it would change the lighting pattern and also the catch light, which may or may not matter to you. I'll move my tripod for a second. All right, you can sit back down, please. All right. So, going by what I said earlier and then changing it, because that's what I do, always put your light as close as possible to your subject, right? But if my light is above my subject and I get too close to her, what's going to happen? I'm going to start getting that overhead too shadowy. So you got to kind of, you know, within reason, get it close to her. So I think this is probably pretty good. I'm going to go like this. This is what you do as a photographer. Yeah, looks pretty good. Well, you see what I did there? Right? I stood where the camera is. Right? This is why when art directors are on your set and they're like over here and they go, oh, Daniel, I think you should change that light. Right? They don't know what, they're not seeing what the camera sees. If you're setting up a light, stand where you're going to be with the camera when you make your evaluation. So I'm looking. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to peek through the actual camera now. If you want to be extra cool, you can do this thing. You know. All right, you look pretty good there. All right. Now, that's all cool. I've got it in a different position. I'm going to take my light meter because I moved the light. I'm going to make sure that it's still at f8. Okay. Good. Okay. So the light meter is doing a funny thing. Oh, I know why. I hate to say it, guys, but you may have this problem, so I'm going to tell you. It's being revealed right now. Sometimes this modeling light in the Pro Photo messes with the light meter. I don't know if it's Seconic's fault or Pro Photo's fault. It depends on who wants to give me the most money. There we go, F8. Yeah, I discovered that. I think because the LED is flickering. So LEDs, right? Because remember, a light meter that's waiting for a flash is waiting for a flash, right? So if it's really sensitive, like this one is, it's picking up the flicker of the LED, and it's actually registering it. It's bizarre. But we have noticed it before, and we noticed it again. I am going to turn this one off for a second. I could do it from the controller, but I feel like just for visual representation, I'm going to physically walk over and turn the lights on and off. All right, so F8 from the front light, just a single light. She's looking at me, right? I'm focused right on her grill. Good, focusing, here we go. Okay, boom, now we've switched the light, right? Let me go back to a single shot. Oh, I don't know what that is, there we go. And now I've changed the position of the light, right? It's a little bit more appealing because all the shadows are going down. We can actually really see her cheekbones. Like, look at those cheekbones. If you guys online, if you saw this, like she has no cheekbones in life. No, it's okay. She has a completely flat face. It's weird. They don't believe me. All right, we can still use the reflector, right? Because Justin has to work, right?
That's
Union.
right.
But in this case, he's going to put it here.
Said playing on my phone.
He's going to put it here like a table. Nope, like a table. There you go. We'll go like this.
Underneath.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. It's like if she was eating lobster or something. You can catch all the lobster goodness. There we go. Now we've kicked up some light. Now it's nice and even, right? We still have shadow. It's just filled in. Thank you. That was really good. That was excellent reflector holding. Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
pretty. Well, it's
God.
temporarily. That looks pretty good, right? So what did I'm still using the same light source. I just centered it, right? You see the difference? While the first light was fine, and it, you can make it work, this already out of the box is better, even before I add the reflector. By the way, it's always important to add the reflector after the client sees the first shot and goes, wow, that looks great. Then when you add it, they're just like, whoa, hold on. They start throwing money at you. It's like yeah, it's weird. It's like, make it rain. Okay, so I still think because I have 2 lights and you get paid by the number of lights you use, I'm going to use my second light as a hair light. And again, keeping with the idea that we had before, I don't want to get it on her face. So I'm actually going to move it even further this way because I feel like it. Beauty dish, I'm not going to move it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Let's see what this looks like. See, she knows. Yes.
Oh, should I switch it over?
So am I using it to separate it from the background? Yeah, more or less, because what you're looking at right now is a very flat image, right? It's nice, it's pretty on her face, but it doesn't have that dimensionality, right? And I know that like, it's gone out of fashion a little bit, I think, for people who are learning, because I see a lot of people, in fact, we did it last week, 1 light stuff, which is fine. Shoot with 1 light, why not? Go for it. But the idea that like using a secondary light source to separate your subject can get, if you do it wrong, it can look kind of cheesy. But if you do it right, it really has a nice effect to add that extra dimension to it. So I really recommend it, whatever it might be, adding a little extra hair light, and sometimes it's probably going to be too bright. I think I'm going to go more subtle for this one, but we'll take a look at it. Now, I didn't add the reflector in because I keep forgetting. All right, see, now it's just subtly there, right? See the difference? Boom. Right? That's you not getting paid at all? Boom, that's like the cash rolling in. Can we do another reflector, Justin? Thank you.
Table it?
Yeah, table it, please. See, he's got it down. He's even using terminology.
I'm learning.
Yeah. So like everything, you want to move it up until it's in the shot, and then you take it back out. Now, if it's too much, when you do that, then obviously you can put it further away. But that's usually pretty good. Nice and clean, good female portrait, right? It's nice. Yeah, not bad, right? And she's hideous in person. It's crazy.
What?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
Nothing. I didn't say anything. You guys didn't hear anything. Nothing. I said nothing. Okay. Any questions? Online? No?
There's a question.
Oh.
They retracted it.
Oh, the question has been retracted. Okay.
Someone said on the beach they use water.
On the beach, you could use, sure, yeah. Water could be a kicker. Yeah.
What are some micro adjustments you can use to accommodate the different face shapes?
Oh man. Oh man. She said micro adjustment. Did you guys catch that? Man, she's like, what are the micro adjustments? Listen, there's a whole class on that. Okay, no, this is a fair question. So how are you gonna slightly adjust depending on the face, right? Let's say their face is a little bit more round or it's a little bit more square and you wanna, okay, well, the thing is that if somebody's got like a more roundish face and doesn't have the shadow there, you wanna create the shadow. The way to do that is to get the light a little bit closer to her and tilt it down more. That's going to create more shadow, right? Possibly not even using the fill card, depending on, or putting the fill card really low, right? I'll show you. It's not going to probably look as good on her because, again, her face is not rounded, but we shall show you. So if I were to move it closer, you'll see the shadow pattern will change slightly. I mean, I could just do that. It'll shoot right past her, but then it's going to be uneven. One thing you want to think about is evenness of light, right? This is going to be uneven. So if I want to get it more even on her, I got to tilt it down. I also moved it a little closer to her, but I'm also going to raise it slightly, I think. And I'm just looking at her, you know? By the way, one thing that I say a lot, and I realized I said it again today because I was working with the person I hadn't shot with before, well, besides you.
What?
I said, you know, whenever you work with somebody, I say, listen, don't get freaked out by this, but I'm going to look at you, right? Because, I mean, honest, like, think about it, right? You're a photographer, so you're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it. But this person's like, why is this person like staring at me, right? But that's what you need to do, right? So I'm going to look at you so I can figure out your face. I'm going to figure out your face. That's how you have to say it. All right, there. Now it's closer, so we should get a little more shadowy. Right? That's going to, I mean, I didn't put the reflector in so you'd see, right? It's actually starting to become too much on her, I think, right? But if a face was rounder, that's one way you could do it. Another thing you could do is what's called negative fill. Which is black cards essentially, which you could bring in on either side, which will help increase the shadows. So that'll help make it more square. If you want to make it more rounded, you want to make sure that you have more light. Like you might even do like reflector, 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 and that will help round the face out. Westcon, there's Westcon that makes that thing. They make that thing that's like a, like where you the eyeliner, right? You can like ride a skateboard in it or whatever. But yeah, so you know, you're filling in that shadow. It's all about the shadow, right? The shadow is where people see an edge. So if you want the face to look more round, you need to narrow those shadows. If you want to make it look more squared off, you want to bring the shadows in. Yes?
No, I'm now setting up. I don't have anything up, and I go into to decide where I have my equipment. My thought process is, I've got a beauty dish. Why not put the beauty dish in front of her?
Mm-hmm.
But this
Sure, of course you said that.
Right.
Right. He's like, well, why wouldn't I use a beauty dish when I have a beauty dish? It costs way more than the softbox did. I mean, geez, Daniel, you have a beauty dish. All right, so the reason why I didn't choose a beauty dish as my main light here is because it's smaller, which means it's going to be harder, which means for a classic portrait, it's probably not the ideal light. It can look really nice, and we will switch to the beauty dish in a second to show you the difference, because people always ask, what's the difference? Typically, I'm going to want to use the largest light source I have as my key on a portrait, especially if I don't know what I'm walking into, right? Because I know that soft light in general is going to work, right? It's all about that. This is whenever I approach these classes, or especially one like this, I'm really thinking about, okay, this is general information, not what if you had to photograph Autumn, right? Because if I photograph Autumn, a beauty dish would be perfect, right? That's going to be really nice because she has a nice feature for it. So, but that's why I didn't use it. Plus, this is easier for me to control, and for a hair light, I need control. So for me, if I only have these two modifiers, I mean, granted, I'm standing in Adorama, I could have anything I want, but this is just what I chose to pull out. Well, not anything. See, I said that, Keith was like, what? You can't have anything. He was like, now he's running. Okay, but yeah, you might use, I also have a strip softbox. Actually, speaking of that, let's get a little funky and go off, because that's what we do, right? What if I took my strip softbox? Because speaking of shaping the face differently. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's see what this light looks like with Justin. So Justin, could you step in for our more feminine light?
The question that was subtracted is light metering but darker skin tones.
Oh, so light metering for darker skin tones. That's actually a good question that I can answer. A light meter, if you're using an incident meter like I'm using, is reading your light. It's trying to get, or it's reading it what they call 18% gray or mid-gray. So basically, it doesn't matter what's you're photographing when you're using an incident light meter, because it's going to give you the amount of light that's falling on the subject. So for instance, if I'm photographing this gray paper, or I'm photographing white paper, we'll just say, forget about skin tone for right now, and I meter it at f8, If I meter at f8 and I shoot at f8, the gray paper will be gray and the white paper will be white because it's properly exposed, which means that if you have somebody with darker skin or lighter skin, you know, barring reflectance, and you expose them correctly using an instant light meter, they will look the way that they look. Whether or not that's what you want. Also, dynamic range of cameras. You know, it depends on the lenses you're using, how contrasty the light is. That's also going to affect, which is why maybe I will do the different skin tone one. I just have to get a lineup of different people. All right, so do you want to hold the reflector for him?
Yeah.
Well, did you see? You saw how I did it and everything? You going to table it?
Yeah.
All right.
Not my first rodeo.
See that? And that's what you call casual, right? And this light's better for it because wherever he turns is going to be lit, right? That's why I did that. Cut you off guard. Luckily, I'm not funny, but she is. Right? All right. So no, actually, all right. Okay, now he's out of my shot. But anyways, let's get a straight shot though to compare it, because people online are like, "Why aren't you comparing it?" Nobody's doing that at all. All right. So there it is, right? While this is nice, it doesn't have that oomph, right? That you get, right? When you want, that I think that you want when you're photographing like a dude, right? Because Justin's a dude. So let's look at him versus here. What if you're a bro? You're more like a dude. Hold on, that looks like you.
That's the wrong comparison.
Someday I will learn how to work the software, but probably not
That light
today.
really changes the way somebody
Yeah, right. That light makes you, there we go. Right? So one light definitely has a lot. Now, again, the casual thing, right? If you're going for this like really casual feel, okay, yeah, maybe opening up and having big soft light is going to be good because it gives you more place to move. To me, if I'm photographing Justin, he's got that amazing like jawline. I want to show that, and to me, that doesn't. You know, the one to the right. You know, and again, this is what I said at the beginning, and I probably say this a lot. I'm just going to show you the kind of the standard stuff. You need to do what you think is correct for what you're. If you love the left one for dude, you're like, no, I like guys like that. I like a nice soft kind of feel on them. Go for it. Like nobody's stopping you. Well, I might stop you. No, I'm not going to stop you. You can do it. Cool, but that's not bad, right? But I think it doesn't give you that. It's almost like with a guy, you need that extra, you know. Right? Yeah, you bust out the, yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Questions about that? No, no questions. Awesome. Now, yeah, more or less. Or it's so confusing that we've reached the point where either it's crazy confusing and that's why, or it's going smooth. I can't really tell. All right, so I'm going to take the softbox off, and you'll be blinded for a second because this is going to be really bright. All right. So, just as a matter of showing you now that the difference between modifiers is often kind of subtle, right? This is a different softbox, right? This is a strip softbox. This is like one of my favorite ones. You probably see me use this a lot. I like it because it's easier to carry because it's smaller. No, so I'm going to use this because I can now shape my light a little better, right? I can actually make my light a little more narrow by putting it on like, I know it's crazy. I know what you're thinking. You can't do that, but I'm doing it. I can actually put my light. Well, I don't know if I can actually do it, but I can say I'm going to do it. There we go. Okay. So, I'm going to close up my little flaps here. Don't want to be indecent. Okay. All right. Now, box is narrow, right? By the way, if you ever want to like freak out a subject, this is the best box. Like, just set it up like that. They're gonna be like, what? What do you mean? What? This is what they're doing. Okay. So we got our little narrow strip box. You can make the joke like someday I'll be able to afford a full-size softbox. You know, these are all good for you. Let me look at the camera. I think it's in the shot a little bit, so I'm gonna raise it. Okay. All right. Now I will say this, right? It's also important to like look through the camera like you're gonna take a picture and then don't do it. That's pretty much my trademark, but you guys can steal it if you like. All right, so change my softbox, which means that my light's gonna be different, right? Should be anyways. We've already learned to turn off the modeling light. All right, here we go. F8. It was the same. Of course, if I hadn't metered it, you know what it would have been? Different. All right, so Justin's looking at me. Boom, boom, boom. He's real serious now. Good. Okay, so, well, let's get the card in, sorry. Tabletop. Table it. Table it. Table that. Good, good, good. This is good. Teen Beat magazine, good. All right, now, right? We see a difference here, right? This is, I mean, granted he's in a different pose too, but we don't address that. Let me turn off this other one. Apparently you have to unclick the one that is clicked. Yep, that's the one I want.
Do you prefer higher or lower camera angle based on male or female?
So, do I prefer higher or lower camera angles? It really depends on the subject and what you're doing, because if you're higher than your subject, you're looking down on them, that definitely puts the camera in more of a dominating position, right? You're dominating them, they're submissive to you. If you're lower, they're dominant to you, so it depends on what you're doing, right? Typically, I try to shoot around eye level unless there's a reason not to, right? So I usually shoot portraits at the level that they're at, which is why I have a bad back, because I'm always like this. But yeah, if I'm shooting full-length stuff, I usually go lower because I want to keep the ratio. But if you're close to somebody, on even, I am slightly higher on him, but that's because I wanted to feel dominant. Okay, so we can see the difference, right? The difference here, besides his expression, is I switched the box, right? So what happened when I switched the box? Uh-oh, now she's not paying attention after I did something for you. I did it for you. So this box is more narrow, which means that I have more shadow on the side of his face, which then narrowed his face, right? You see how I did that? Magic. Same thing you could do with black cards, whatever, it's the same concept. What you want to do is change the shape of the face by changing where the light is. Wide face, narrow face, right? Easy as that. Step in, Autumn. Autumn. Yeah, and we'll tabletop it and everything. This is great. All right.
Sorry.
Don't mess it up. Okay, good. A little higher. There we go. All right, she's looking good. She's tabletopped. Hold on, let me change my focus. I'm not used to having like 1,000 focus points. Here we go. I will finally get used to how many focus points this has, and then I won't have the camera anymore. Right, see again, right, narrowed down her face. Because here we are. Let me unclick this one. Unclick that one. And let's go back to the regular softbox, right? Again, you see the difference. Strip box made the face more narrow. That's probably not what I would want to do with her. I don't necessarily, her face is already pretty narrow, but if I wanted it more narrow because it was a wider face, that's how I would do it. Make sense? Oh, I'm glad I set up that box. It wasn't a waste. Cool. Well, let's now use the beauty dish. Let's change it. Let's change our modifier and see what we get, right? So beauty dish is one of those things that we often use for beauty, right? Because they put it right in the name. So you can step out for a second because I'm going to move the lights around. So in this scenario, I'm going to just swap my lights, right? I'm going to take my light that's got the beauty dish and I'm going to put it in the front and move this one to the back.
And is a beauty dish by itself not good for male features?
So is a beauty dish not good for male features? I would actually make the statement, I'm doing it, I'm making a statement, that a beauty dish is better for male features. Because it's punchier, that's right. I know, I'm making a rebellious stance here because I understand that people use beauty dishes all the time to photograph females, but I'm gonna say it's actually, if you want that, what I would call like masculine style light, it's actually what you get with the beauty dish because the beauty dish is a hard light source, generally speaking. So I'm basically gonna move this here. Actually, let's start with it on the side because that's what I feel like doing. This is how I never use a beauty dish, but we'll do it. All right, so this is a Pro Photo D2 with the beauty dish in it. Since I made the statement that I think it's going to be good for guys, let's have Justin jump in. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. I probably didn't, but I just remembered because Justin's sitting here. On May 6th, right? We just booked Justin. Yeah. On May 6th, we're doing a really cool event. So if you guys are watching online, get a plane ticket to come to New York. It does cost something. I don't know how much it costs, but myself and Seth, if you guys don't know Seth, you should check out his demos. We're going to do a hands-on, off-site. We have a penthouse It's really nice, actually. I must admit, it's actually really nice. Penthouse Studios from Go Studios. It's going to be on May 6th, so if you guys want to sign up, that's on our Eventbrite. You'll get to use, see, I'm making the commitment now, even though Cliff has not committed to it yet. Profoto is going to give us a bunch of stuff, and you guys can use it. $75. It's $75. There we go. Thank you, Lori. Money means nothing to me, because I don't have to pay for it. All right, so seems like a pretty reasonable price to get Seth all day. And a reasonable price for me not to bother you. All right, so punchy hard light, grid, keeping it focused, using the strip now on the back as the hair light to still give him this. Good. Got to meter it again. So what lens am I using? I have the 90mm lens on this, which is on this camera. It makes it a little bit, it's like a little longer than normal because this is a medium format camera. Hasselblad gave me the 90 and the 100 just to mess with me. And of course, which one do I want? Both. I mean, come on. The 100 is actually for the H system, but you can adapt it, and it's a 2.2, which means that like nothing's in focus. All right, so I'm changing the power of my lights because it's too low now. I've already been shooting at f8, so I'm just going to stay there. One thing that I probably say a lot when I do these things is don't change the camera unless you need to. Change your lights. So even though I know that I'm fine because I did my black frame at 5.6, I want to stay at f8 because that's what I've been shooting at. So this is f8. That guy's 11. That seems fair, right? I already mentioned that I like my backlight to be a little bit hot, so it's one stop brighter. We'll see what happens. It's important to go into it with a plan, but always, even if you're not going to shoot tethered, although you should, to always take a shot and then, there we go. All right. I will finally figure that out someday. It's also sort of sorted it upside down for some reason. I obviously touched some button. All right. I'm leaving the model light on so you guys can see. This is going to be a little more punchy. Oh, F8. Let's see, make sure I don't change it with my nose again. Focused in, bang. All right. Okay, now we've got the beauty dish, right? Coming across, throwing, look at that beard, right? Throwing nice shadow pattern on his nose, showing good texture in the skin, right? And I would say that he looks beautiful. I mean, it's a beauty dish, right? Listen, if you can't look beautiful with a beauty dish, I just don't know what to say. But again, now we have more, this light actually coming from the back is a little bit softer and bigger. So it's actually giving a little more coverage to his shoulder. It's changing the feel of it a lot. This is not a conventional use of a beauty dish, right? Typically you put the beauty dish in the center because that's you're usually shooting women with it. But hey, you know what? I'm gonna call it the, oh, I was gonna say the duty dish to go with dudes, but that doesn't sound right because duty is like a, no, not that. No, we'll work on the name.
We'll work on that name.
Yeah, we definitely need to work on that.
Like we all got locked in a room for a really long period of time. That's
Yeah.
what we call that.
Yeah, nobody wants that. So, all right, so we're working on that name. We'll follow that up next week. Okay, maybe we'll put a poll. I don't know what's going on here. We're out of control. Yeah, we'll put a Facebook poll up. All right, so. Am I going to do what?
Do a seminar in Jamaica.
Should I do a seminar in Jamaica? I'm going to put a poll on Facebook. I would love to go to Jamaica. I have not been in a long, long time. So now we got beauty dish on a guy, right? We've got it to the side, unconventional use. We have a softbox as the kicker. Now, what do we have here, though, that still matches what I've been saying about shooting men? We're still using a lot of shadow, right? A lot of dimension, a lot of drama. I will say, too, if you didn't notice this, because maybe you didn't, because we're using the beauty dish with the grid, the background is now black, right? Well, it's charcoal. Why? Because this is not hitting the background, right? Remember, when no flash goes off, the frame is black, which means where I don't put light will not be lit. So as you may have noticed in the other one, the softbox threw light on the background, this one's not, right? Does that make sense? So these are all considerations to have. Now, let's have autumn. Autumn. This is yours. You feel it? This is the one for you. Yeah, this is it. This is it. This is the autumn light. Autumn light is some of the nicest light.
It really is.
It is, yeah. There's just not enough of it. Perfect. I'm going to start by saying this is probably going to look good. Oh, no, it's still very shadowy, right? Again, it works for Autumn because she's got a really strong face, but on most women, you don't want this, right? This is not what we want, all this shadow. Now, again, I can fix it by using a reflector. Justin. See, once you volunteer, it just becomes a thing.
Now it's a thing.
You notice how the first time I didn't ask him to do it. I waited until he volunteered. That way you can, I think, yeah, we could do that. Actually, let's do a unique thing. Let's bring your side lower. Oh.
This has never been seen.
No, this has never been seen before on YouTube. Okay. Okay, the reflector's a little bit in the shot, but I don't care, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, we're kicking up. It actually has a very cop show feel to it. That's what you say when the light's undefined. It's a very cop show, right? Because she's strong. It's a little bit off. I still feel like it's not, we'd have to work it because we have light on her nose. This light's a little strong on her hair. It's not perfect. Some things we can work with though, right? We want to make the light a little softer, a little nicer on her. So let's have her turn towards the light more. Oh, wow, we can move the model? I know, it's crazy. Yeah. So what's that going to do? Why am I turning her? Just because, yeah, to get her face in the light, exactly.
Eyes to you, drops to
Yeah, yeah, oh, sure, why not? I like it. Good. All right, here we go, focusing. All right, focusing. She's got a little devious smile going on for some reason, I don't know why. Okay. So what I've effectively done here is I've moved the light to the center of her face without moving my light, right? Because when I say, you remember, I once had this model in the studio and I was explaining this to her and I said, well, you know, usually when you're photographing women, it's better to have the light in the center. She's like, oh no, I like the light to the side. And then she turned and looked at it. And I was like, yes, exactly. You like the light in the center, right? It was like, okay. So not the center of me, the center of them, right? That's what's important. Because the center of the light is going to put the little nose shadow down. It's going to shape her face and make it look nice and thin on the side. She's got that little cop show thing going on, right? All right, good. If we had a gel or something, we're not going to do that. No gels in this one. I've been banned from using gels. Okay, so questions. How are we doing for time? Am I going really fast or really slow? I think I'm doing kind of average. I feel like we could do one more thing. What do you, what? Oh, what are the ones? Oh, no, the beauty dish, correct. Okay. Do you want to set it up? Good. All right, I'm taking a break. Don't drop my camera. I'm going to put it over here. Okay, we're going to put the beauty dish in the center. I'm not going to do it because I'm lazy. Any other questions while you're doing that? Don't drop it. Make sure you put a sandbag on it. Okay, good. I start yelling at people. I'm very rude. You know how I do it, right? Okay, nope. All right, Joe, no, this is good actually. Let's go back. Let's show you the right way. Sandbag off. Okay, so the camera's going to be there. So we want to boom it. But whenever you're using a C-stand, the sandbag goes on that leg. I know it seems counterproductive. It goes on the tallest leg, even though it's this way. Believe me, that's how you do it. All right. Yeah, and the dish itself needs to boom out over that leg, right? Nope, don't turn it. Okay, you're good. Lock it down. We're going to use the arm, right? Because this is your first time, I'm going to take this light off of it, make it a little easier. All right. So we're going to take the arm, and we're going to boom it out. And when you're using an arm with a C-stand, you always want to make sure that the big handle is to your right. Okay, that's how you always know. If you're standing behind it and the big handle is to the right, this is correct. If it's to the left, then you won't have friction. Right. It has something to do with clockwise, counterclockwise, but I always forget which one it's supposed to be, but exactly. Basically, when it's like this, if you didn't tighten it all the way, and then you kept turning it, it would get tighter. If the other way, it would fall. See, I almost poked you in the face with it, but I didn't, because I'm nice. So we're going to tighten that down. I know, right? You learn one thing. One thing every day. By the way, if you learn one thing today, forget about lighting men and women. This is a 650 pin. This is how you put a light on a C-stand. If I show up on one of your sets and I see the light on this end, I'm going to go over there and hit it so it falls on the ground, because that's exactly what will happen. This is not where you put a light. I don't care if people tell you that. The reason why is because this has, you see, this little recess thing here. right? When you lock it down, the light can't fall. Also, if you turn the light upside down, this little nail won't ever let it fall out of the thing. So always use a pin when you put a light on a C-stand. Okay, there we go. Now I set it, especially with beauty dishes, because I'll tell you what, people come in and they're like, oh, Daniel, I have a beauty dish, and I put it on the end of my C-stand, and it's always turning and moving on me. Well, yeah, because you got it on the thing, which doesn't have any friction, and then it's going zoop, zoop. This way, it can't go anywhere. That's right. That's right, because Hollywood arms aren't really for lights, but you know, we like to do that. Now, of course, I didn't tighten it, so that's moving now. Good. Beauty dish, nice and tight. Crank it down. All right. Now, beauty dish is not a soft box, which means that it's not soft, so you don't want to drop it on anybody. Okay, perfect. I know, it's the same jokes every week, but someday I'll have a new one. Okay. All right, that's good, thanks, good job. All right, good. So, we've got the beauty dish here in the center. Again, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna look from the camera position. Oh yeah, that's almost too nice to shoot. I don't think I can do it. All right, so next week, no, we'll do it. Now again, I can move it in closer, and ultimately you want to put it relatively close, but again, the closer I put it, the more overhead it's going to feel. So I got to keep it at an angle. I'm looking at the shadow under her chin. That's what I'm really looking at. I want to throw that shadow exactly where I want it. If for some reason you want to put it really close, just remember you'll have to work their face up more, right? Because if their face is face up, then you know, whatever. That's the solution. That's why a lot of times in beauty ads, you look at the model's nose, and that's because they put the beauty dish really close. But that's for an effect, which I don't really like because I've retouched way too many nose hairs in my life, so nobody wants to do that. All right, there we go. All right, so this has live view, I think, but there we go. Oh, there you are. Now, what's important with the beauty dish is this. We'll play around with it a little bit here. Basically, it's a hard light source, right? It's also small and relatively close to her. If she, like, let's say, puts her chin down, right? Chin, lips, right? This is closer to the light. Now, on some light sources, because they're far away, that won't matter because of fall off. This light is so close that if her face is not kind of at the angle of the light, it will not be even on her face. So it's important when you're using a beauty dish to have at least a little bit of, like in this case, a little bit of trim. You want to actually match this angle as best as possible. Just look at it, and you can see it's evenly on her face. I mean, I'll do all of it so you guys can see. So we'll make it even. Up a tiny bit right there. Too much? Good. So this is the, I'll call it the proper use of a beauty dish. I probably should meter it. See how I did the thing where I was going to take a picture and I stopped? That's how I do. You'll get used to it. All right, here we go. Yes, I also do it with dish. It's just the thing that I do. It's my thing. All right. All right, I just turned the light down because it's F11 now. F8, right? That's what we want. Backlight should be still F11 because that didn't change. The backlight is that weird thing, it's the modeling light. Let's see. Turn that off. I did it from the controller that time just because Profoto pays me every time I use the controller. That's not true, I wish. All right, so we're 9 in the back. F9. Why not? Yeah, Dave is much better at hair lights than I am, and he says it's good, so I believe him. All right, here we go. Okay, kind of traditional beauty dish, Maybelline. They still make Maybelline, right? That's nice, right? That's how you do it. Now, if you've seen beauty dish shots and they look terrible, that's because they don't know how to use the beauty dish. This is how a beauty dish is a very, very specific tool. I hate to say it because really, you just saw me get a decent shot using it a different way, but if you're gonna do a classic beauty dish shot, this is it, right? Now, we could add a reflector. Keep in mind though, since I have a grid, right, we're gonna have to put that reflector so close to her to get anything from this. So let's try it. This seems weird for me to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. If you're using a reflector, you have to make sure that it's actually able to bounce the light in. I cannot tell you the number of people that I've seen use a reflector and it's not doing anything. It's like, why is that reflector even there? I mean, you can charge more because you use a reflector, but that's a whole separate thing. Yeah, there you go. It's actually in the shot. So let's see if we can get anything. Yeah, I think we still get some right there. It's still in a little bit, but I can live with it. And that's a little bit. And that's as close as I can put it because you can see it's already in the shot. So really with the beauty dish, if you want to fill in that shadow, which you typically don't want to because a beauty dish is for shaping the light like this, then you're probably going to want to use a secondary light source. If you have a grid like this, because you can't get it in, right? I mean, I could make it work, but I'd have to tip the beauty dish, which is what I'll do. So I'll show you what people do. Uh-oh, I'm doing the thing where I say this is what people do. I probably shouldn't do it. So people do this, which is not terrible. No, you're good. Right? Oh, now I have all kinds of light to bounce back, right? You love that. She's loving it. She's like, perfect. No, you're not. Right? But the problem with this is, now I have tons of bounce back, but the light on her face is uneven. And look at her chest, right? Look at the difference. Proper. Nope, see, look, he turns into a dude. It's crazy. Someday I will learn how to work the software, not today.
If you took the grid off, would that help to spread
Yes.
the light a little bit on
So the question is, if I took the grid off, right, would that spread the light more? Yes. So if you need to bounce the light back in because that's your dealio, then yeah, you probably don't want to use a grid, right? But you see the difference here? See how even and beautiful this one on the left is? That's just the beauty dish, right? That's it. You know what would be ideal if you wanted fill on the left? A ring flash. Oh, I said it. Why is a ring flash good? You don't know. You hate ring flashes. He's like, I don't care about ring flashes. So the reason why a ring flash would be good for this is because a ring flash fills directly forward, right? Where is the shadow? The shadow is wherever there's not the light. If I put a ring flash, you guys know what ring flashes are, right? Right? All the light from the ring flash goes, boom, right? Fills in every shadow that you want on the face at the amount that you want precisely, and the light just goes back. I mean, granted, you might get light in the background. That's a whole other thing. So if I'm doing a classic beauty shot, that's why you sometimes see people use ring lights for beauty. However, don't just use a ring flash for beauty, because ring flashes are not in and of themselves beautiful because they cast really no shadows. They throw them all straight back, which gives a really flat look, which usually doesn't look good on people unless they're, 15-year-old models. But that's when you'd use a ring flash. It's really useful. Maybe I'll do a video where we just do that. We'll do that. We'll put that on the list. Okay, questions, thoughts, concerns?
What does he look like under the...
Now, what does he look like under the beauty? So let me put it back the correct way first, because we don't want to jip Justin. This is it, man. This is your moment.
I don't know. Pressure's killing me.
It's too much. All right. So, and again, we're going to want to keep your chin up a little bit so you can get the light on it. There you go. Ooh, let me get a focus. Yeah. He looks very odd couple.
That was me, not you.
Yeah. No, it's good though. I like it.
You like it?
No, I mean, I think it's a good character shot, right? Because it's got a lot of shadow and he's got his chin down. This is not the right, now if I was gonna shoot, this actually worked out perfectly. If I was gonna shoot a guy with this setup, this is the kind of stuff I do, right? Get the light a little too close to him, get the shadow on his face, because the shadow on the guy's face is what we want, right? If we shoot him in more of like the way we shot her, so bring your chin up so it matches the angle of the light. I mean, this could also be good. It just depends on what you're doing. I mean, maybe it's for, I don't know, shampoo or something. See how I referenced that? See how good? See how I do that? You're waiting for it the whole time. Now it's like a little cleaner, right? Now he's like got a little Hollywood clean. And it's nice. It shapes his jaw. He looks nice, right? He's about to laugh at me. All right, so that's what a guy looks like versus a girl with a beauty dish. They both look decent. I mean, it's not terrible. Beauty dish, go for it, right? I never say don't get a beauty dish. I wouldn't buy it as my only or first thing per se because it's pretty limited, but it can certainly be a good tool to use. Other questions?
So on the right side picture, the background is more darker when you use a reflector, like a table push.
Yeah. Well, I think the background is darker because I moved the light slightly when it went for her, and I didn't put it back in the same spot. So that's the reason why it's lighter on Justin's barely than it is on Autumn's. Yes. It's not the reflector, it's just the position of the light, because I didn't put the light back exactly where it was. Technically, this is the shot of her in the same lighting, but in her case, I guess maybe it probably had a little more tilt to it. I didn't measure the angle of the azimuth, right? That's what they call it, the azimuth. That's the angle of the. Okay, there we go. That's your word for today, azimuth. All right, or is that only in compasses? Because I use that when you're trying to read a map. No, azimuth. Am I not saying it right? Am I saying a swear word? I probably am. Okay, questions. Any questions before we wrap? This is it, last chance. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here. I think I'm back in 2 weeks here at Adorama, but always check me out on YouTube on my channel. You can just go on YouTube and say Daniel Norton, you'll find me. I think the next thing going up here, I think Seth is doing a presentation on Monday, so if you guys are local in New York City, come to see Seth. If you want to come to the hands-on, please sign up. It's limited seating. It's gonna be awesome. I mean, we went to the penthouse and it's pretty swank. In fact, half of the session is gonna be me just walking around going, yeah, that's pretty nice. But you get to do hands-on with stuff. We'll have a whole bunch of models. We got Pro Photo coming. We got other people who I think haven't committed yet, but they're gonna come. We got Dave. So, I mean, guys, if you guys ever want Dave to help you with something, this is your opportunity. That's it. We just sold all tickets right there. If you want Dave to help you, Dave is gonna be there. So, thanks, Justin. Thanks, Autumn. Follow these guys on social, wherever.
Thank you.
Where are you?
Justin C. Schilling. That's
Justin
C as in cat, Schilling, SCHILLING.
And Autumn Rain.
I'm on Instagram at
Lainey Lou.
LAYNEYLOU.
Lainey Lou. Why doesn't she use it? Is that your real name and Autumn's like a stage name?
No, Lane is my middle name.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, like Lois.
Yeah, Autumn Lane.
Oh, that's a nice name. That's such a pretty name. It's like a TV name. Okay, so, are we still streaming? Yes, we're still streaming. Why not? Okay, guys, so I'll see you. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out here. Check me out wherever. Check Dave out. Check out these guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the shouts. Thank you.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Good show tonight, Justin.
You don't have to go home.